This next session is going to be a lot of fun. We've got three heavyweights from the high-speed rail industry, Alstom, Siemens, and Hitachi. Each of these really innovative companies has a footprint of excellence around the globe, from Japan and throughout Asia to Europe, and even now North Africa into Morocco, and of course, most important, right here in the United States. We're going to have a chance to get some of the latest updates from the expanding high-speed rail networks around the world. And I hear that each of our presenters has a very, very snazzy presentation to keep everybody entertained. So let's go ahead and get to it. First up is Scott Sharon. Scott is the Chief Commercial Officer for Alstom, and he's been with Alstom for more than 14 years. Is that right? Okay. Well, we look forward to Scott showcasing some of the great work that Alstom does. Without further ado, let's have a nice, warm welcome for Scott Sharon.
Morning, everyone. Wow, it's nice to see the room this full. I've been coming to these events for a really long time, and I want to thank the U.S. High-Speed Rail Association and all the sponsors for putting this on. It's really encouraging to see everyone, and Secretary, nice to see you here in the front row. So a little bit about Alstom. So Alstom is local where mobility is needed all around the world. We're present in more than 60 countries, partner with more than 300 cities, and local's important in our business. Local's important because a train is not a train, a rail system is not a rail system. They need to be adapted to local standards. And one of the powerful things about our company, and we're really quite proud of, is our local presence in the US. Having the engineering, having the project management, having the manufacturing, having the supply chain built to be able to support the technologies that we're deploying is critical. Many of you may remember from the 1980s when cars first started coming in from overseas, becoming quite commonplace. It was hard to get service. It was expensive to get service. It took a long time to get service. The way you avoid that is by localizing, and it's going to be a critical thing for us to do altogether. So, still have the mic. What you might not know about Alstom is we provide today, currently, have 50% of the high-speed trains running in revenue service around the world. And if you look at the contracts that have been awarded so far for high speed in the US, I'm proud to say that we have 75% of the trains high speed that are under contract currently in the market. But before I talk about where we are around the world, I want to congratulate, maybe the first to congratulate Siemens. Huge win. Really happy for them. Bummed for us. We really would have liked to have won it, but we can't win everything. So congratulations, Armin, to you and the Siemens team. Congratulations to Brightline. But the other thing you might not know is it will be the second true high-speed train in America. The Avalia Liberty, the Amtrak Next Generation high-speed train set you see up there, as delivered, will run 186 miles per hour. We need to find tracks to do it on. It shares the same technology as the TGVM that you see up there in France. They're in fact, twin sisters, cousins, whatever you like to call them. And what that brings is it's bringing greater efficiency, 20% less energy efficiency compared to the present generation of high-speed trains that are running around the world, and 30% reduced maintenance cost. People talk about high speed a lot, and I had a conversation with someone out in the hallway where they were asking about the technology. And it's really interesting to me in the US, people are always talking about the technology. High speed is not a technology problem. It is a political will, it is an infrastructure, it is a funding problem. We're starting to get behind that in this country, we're starting to understand it, but we need to start viewing it from that lens. The technology has been around for nearly 60 years. It's been adapted, it's been evolved, it's been improved. That's why we're getting these better energy efficiencies and reduced maintenance costs, but it's not a technology problem. And for the US, what we're introducing for Amtrak is a high-speed train, but a tilting high-speed train. And there's a reason for that. High speed doesn't mean you always need brand new infrastructure. High speed is about getting passengers safely, comfortably, with a high reliability of comfort and service faster than they were able to get there before, and connecting people. You can do that without infrastructure. The technologies are out there, like tilting technology, to be able to do that. And I'd suggest that instead of always thinking about high speed only through the lens of build new systems and spend the tens or scores or hundreds of billions of dollars that are needed to do that, we can achieve high-speed service with a very high level of quality on existing rail, and we need to find the right corridors and opportunities to be able to do that. So a little update on TGVM. I'm really proud to share with everyone that these trains will be safety certified this fall. And the trains have been tested up to 200 miles per hour. Again, same technology that's exists with the Amtrak Next Generation high-speed train sets. And I can't wait to put the Amtrak Next Gen high-speed train sets into service. We've been at this now for a long time. The testing that we're doing is going well, and I really want to thank the FRA. I really want to thank Amtrak for the partnership and the work that we've been doing together to get these trains into service. Going first is hard. The Rail Safety Advisory Committee, through its engineering task force, worked for more than a decade to take a look at the global TSI specification and figure out how closely the US market could match that with its own high-speed train sets. We've come up with Tier 3, maybe about 90% there. Some of the people in the room will be able to tell me that's not right, but directionally it's close enough. There are gaps, and I'm really proud of the work that our team is doing with our partners at the FRA, with Amtrak, to get these trains ready, and really excited to get them into service. Again, though, it's not a technology problem. The hard work has really been building the supply chain, setting up the industrialization, finding the workers to build these trains, and we have done that work. Armin, I'll tell you, the biggest challenge you guys are going to have is doing those things. And Siemens can do it. They're a great company. They've done it on other programs. And together, right, all of us, right, are going to have to uplift and build the strength and capacity of this industry to be able to make it work. You saw the TGVM I showed before. The base contract was for over 100 trains, and there's going to be options on that. There's a reason why high speed is successful in many other places around the world. It's not the technology. It's getting behind with the right funding, right volume, building the right supply chain and structures underneath the industry to be successful. So what have we learned? We've learned there's now a healthy pipeline in front of us, and there's more to come. And so having that local capability behind is going to be critical for these to be able to be realized and for the other future ones to be able to come behind them. We've learned that it is really hard work. There's an expression I like: orders are vanity, execution is reality. It felt great when we won the Amtrak contract. It felt horrible when we lost the Brightline West contract. But my days and nights will not be as sleepless as Armin's and and Keith's and everyone else involved with the project. Part of what we had to do was we had to build a supply chain of 170 suppliers. We've got suppliers now across 27 states. We've spent nearly $250 million with disadvantaged and small business enterprises. It's hard work, but it's worth it. It can be done. And Buy America is smart policy, right? If you look at what's happened, we've had our technology be transferred from around the world. We've had suppliers localize in the US. This happens with good policy and with ambition and requiring people to live by the law of the land. I don't spend a lot of time holding up China as a role model for things we should be doing in the US, but I lived in China for 4 years. And when I lived there, I saw company after company after company show up, invest, bring their best and their brightest, and transfer their technology into China. We're seeing some of the issues that has caused for our industries across America today, but it's also smart policy. Why on high speed, why on infrastructure projects are we giving an inch to anybody that says Buy America is hard? We can't do this. Give us a waiver. We have put forward $1 trillion, hundreds of billions in the rail space. It should be an obligation, it should be a price of admission to be able to play in this space. It's good for America, it's good for our industry, it's what we need to have a long-term, sustainable, healthy, high-speed rail market. I'd like to talk with you about the potty problem. Everybody likes a good potty joke, no matter how old you are. And if you're not laughing, I know you're laughing inside. Buy America is also about being able to support what we build. This toilet, and we pulled aside a panel so you can see what goes into a toilet. It's more than just flushing. They're complex. They're hard to maintain. These trains are going to be running for decades. If we bring suppliers in from overseas, and we did bring this supplier in from overseas to localize in the US, but they do not get future work, they pack up and they leave. So when you're riding on the new next-gen Acellas to come to DC for these meetings, and if you can't use the bathroom because it's out of service, it might be because we're waiting for the part to come in from that supplier over in Europe. When I talk about Buy America and I talk about the importance of it, we need to recognize that in order to service these assets, you need to have the local engineering, you need to have the local supply chain, you need to have local spare parts present here, or else it creates unintended problems we're not thinking about today. It also creates jobs. That's the point, it creates jobs. We've been working with the International Association of Machinists proudly for more than 40 years in Hornell. Thanks to Buy America, thanks to the requirements, we're not alone now. There are other rail suppliers that are unionizing because of the requirements and because of the pressures to meet Buy America. It's good for our industry, it's good for America, it's training highly skilled workers, and it's going to be really important for us to make sure that we continue to do this and to continue good American high-paid jobs. Lastly, it's about people. We talk about trains, but most things we do in life, most good things we do in life are about people. And Buy America creates economic development and economic uplift wherever its supply chain goes. We're building Amtrak's next-gen trains in Hornell, New York. It's a town of about 8,000 people in the southern tier. We have about 800 people working for us right now in Hornell, and probably double that with suppliers within 20 miles of where we're located, where all they do is supply spare parts and components to us for that train. It has built and saved a hospital in that town because they knew that they wouldn't be able to attract the talent if they didn't have health care. It has built a new hotel in that town because there was nowhere for people to stay. And it built the first new residential housing at scale in 40 years. Because before, nobody wanted to live there. Now people want to live there. There's a lot of good work all of us are doing in this room. There's a lot more good work that all of us in this room are going to be doing. I want to thank you for your time today. Appreciate all the good work everyone is doing, and really look forward to a good conference. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Armin Kick. Armin is the Vice President of Locomotives and High-Speed Train Sets at Siemens Mobility, where he has served for more than 22 years in leadership roles, and he has led Siemens and been responsible for their high-speed rail development in the United States. So let's welcome to the podium, Armin Kick.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody.
All right.
I see a lot of familiar faces. This morning I got up and I thought, man, I better look up how long we've been at this. And I realized 15 years. So 2009 was the first conference. And we've been fighting for high-speed rail for a very long time. And I thank everybody that's been in this fight. We're obviously now closer than ever to actually seeing true high-speed rail in America. And that's a good thing. I also want to acknowledge and thank Scott for his remarks before. So it's been a long road, and it's all about time. So it's about time to get where we are now, but it's also about time. So this is an interesting survey where people at a conference were asked about why do passengers actually choose high-speed trains over other modes of transportation. And in the US, we really are stuck with two choices. If we want to go from one urban center to another center, you can opt to drive or you can opt to fly. That are your options. Adding the third option really is a big game changer on this. And we're obviously talking about choice riders here, people that are making a choice when they take trains. And we've, in this conference and in other conferences, we have talked about how that works. So many proof points around the globe that it works, and that this mode, people really take to this mode because of the benefits of it. And one big benefit is it's about time. It's about being faster. It's also about costs. And Andrea talked about this in his remarks earlier. It's really efficient because you can put a lot of people on a high-speed train, and with that, your price point becomes very, very attractive. So it is the better option for your wallet, too. Comfort, obviously, you know, I was strapped in 14B on the way here. It was okay. But isn't it great if you can get up and you can walk to the bar car and you can have a drink and chat with somebody, get back, and you don't need a seatbelt, and you can actually move around? It's a really civilized way to travel. And as Andrea also pointed out, lots of Americans experience it overseas, but it's about time to experience it here. And I'm convinced that when this mode rolls out, a lot of people will say, ooh, this is how it looks, this is how it works, and I want in on this. Now, not to overlook sustainability. Also mentioned earlier, it's a much more sustainable way to travel. The carbon footprint is much, much lower. Terry Hines made this comparison with EV alone. These systems can be zero emissions powered, so it's a really sustainable way to move into the future and to provide these kind of services. So, from a Siemens perspective, Siemens has been in this business of building high-speed trains for over 4 decades. You can see it with some of the flagship product that hopefully you had a chance to ride overseas. And 30 years ago, we made the switch to go to EMU technology, which is electrical multiple unit. There's a lot of benefits from this. And you see some of these projects, and we're going to talk about the latest addition to that long list of successful high-speed trains. Most importantly is these trains run a lot of mileage every day, and with that comes a lot of experience, and with that comes a lot of improvements for reliability, availability, and all of the factors that play into this. So I agree, it's not necessarily the technology, but it's the deployment of these trains and then the constant learning and improving this to have a really reliable service. And the big benefits of high-speed trains, as you can experience it everywhere, is the punctuality. So these trains run very, very punctual, and you can show up at the station 3 minutes before departure, and you can leave in downtown wherever you're going. So there's huge benefits in this, and it's all about time. You don't fight your way through the car to get to an airport and all of that. So you can step on a train and you can experience that right away. So one of the trains on here is the ICE4, and because it's currently timely, I want to highlight that. So Siemens has built 137 of these trains. The last one was just delivered in March. They go to the German operator. What's exciting about these trains is they're replacing old intercity and Eurocity train sets now with a very flexible solution. So there's different train lengths possible with these trains. There is more seating capacity. Also, always important, less weight, and that results in less energy consumption. So our goal is always, we strive to build the next edition train, which is even more energy efficient and therefore more sustainable. And the interior is modular, also important over the life of such trains, that at midlife overhaul or at certain points in time, maybe you figure out that you have to rearrange your interior. You're selling more seats in a certain class than in another, or you need different amenities. So these trains are all very modular now to be able to accommodate such changes. With that, oops. The latest offering in what we call the Velaro platform, which is the name for the Siemens high-speed trains, is the American Pioneer 220. That is our high-speed train for the United States. It is a Tier 3 train. It's a wide body. It has a lot of abilities for great amenities on this train. It is ADA compliant throughout, so you will be able to go in a wheelchair from end to end in this train. It has level boarding. It has multiple seating configurations. There will be food and beverage offering. The capacity is up compared to other train sets through some smart engineering on board, and it's energy efficient based on latest aerodynamics being implemented here. So also what we're bringing in is some more entertainment into this train set to enjoy the ride. So with that, let's look at a quick clip on how that's going to look. So you might have picked up that recently Siemens was announced as the preferred bidder for Brightline West. We're very excited about that step, and we're very excited to be able to build these trains for the US market. As explained, it's the next edition high-speed train in the Velaro platform. It has operational speed up to 220 miles an hour. Again, great improvements in regards to energy efficiency, which then lead to a much better sustainability for the operator. There's 10% more seats on these trains now. The EMU technology enables great climbing ability and some reduction in the needs for the infrastructure on the wayside. We're also lowering the maintenance cost on these trains. And it's 15% lighter than previous editions of this high-speed train. So I'm excited to be back here at the High-Speed Rail conference. I'm looking forward to interaction with all of you on what's next. I am very hopeful. America is great at scaling. It's taken a long time to get to this point of actually deploying true high speed for the first time. But if you look at how America was able to build a vast national highway network in record time, there is really no doubt in my mind that we can also do this for high-speed rail. We just have to put our common thoughts together and fight for the right funding models, and then deploy these high-speed trains and give the general public the ability to have a third choice, a choice that they will gladly take to be on high-speed trains rather than on commuter aircraft or having to drive and sit in traffic jams everywhere. And with that, back to Robert. Thank you.
Okay. Our final presenter is Alan Himmel of Hitachi Rail. Alan is currently the head of Turnkey Systems Business Development for North America. And if I read Alan's LinkedIn correctly, next month he will be at Hitachi Rail for just shy of 16 years. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alan Himmel.
Just click. How do I go back? There we go. There we go. Robert, thank you so much for that introduction. Wow, look at everyone here. Quite an audience this year from last year and previous years. Really exciting. Armin, likewise, congratulations on the vehicle. And Scott, I could not agree with you more on your point about it's not about new technology for the trains. It's not. The technology exists. It's about bringing it here. And so, my name's Alan Himmel. Slight correction, I've been with Hitachi Rail for 25 years. A long time. My background, though, unlike my vehicle brethren here, is in systems and in the infrastructure, the often unsung part of the network. And so I want to talk a little bit about today the systems perspective of world-class bullet trains. Philippe and Andre, you were a great lead into some of this. Appreciate that. Real quick agenda, I'll tell you a little bit about Hitachi Rail, then we'll get right into the subject. The Shinkansen train in Japan, we're going to talk a little bit about that network, and of course the European network. And you can't talk about the European network without talking about European Rail Train Management System. From that, we'll talk a little bit about how ERTMS and high-speed rail has transformed Italy and travel in Italy. And the thunder's already been stolen a little bit, but that's okay. It's a great story. And then finally, just a few words about Hitachi and high-speed rail. Hitachi. So Hitachi's been around a long time. We're 14,000 people strong, about 1,000 here in the U.S. with our headquarters in Pittsburgh, PA. We have a new vehicle manufacturing facility we're building here in Hagerstown. I was just there yesterday. And we have manufacturing also in Batesburg. Again, Buy America, so very important. I mean, that's what we have to do. But we're also global. We're around 38 countries, 11 manufacturing sites. Reading the slide, our purpose is to contribute to society, developing products and technology that provide sustainable connectivity. So that's what we do, and we strive to be an industry leader. A little bit about our history. We go back a long way. We have a long history in rail, and it started all the way back in 1853 when Giovanni Ansaldo and Company was formed to provide locomotives and components to the Italian railway as they were building the very first lines. Then along came a little bit later, George Westinghouse. My hometown, Pittsburgh, 1878, formed Union Switch and Signal, provided a lot of the train control for this country throughout the years. Along the way, Hitachi was formed in 1910, and Hitachi was part of the group that delivered the very first Shinkansen bullet train in 1964. Very exciting, very key provider and supplier of equipment there. And then we joined the Hitachi family in 2018. And ourselves, Hitachi Rail and Hitachi Energy, form the green energy and mobility sector of Hitachi. Now, I'm going to focus my talk on train control, but I would be remiss if I didn't introduce you to Dan Manti, who's with Hitachi Energy, and he can talk your ear off about electrification, grid integration, and all that other important stuff that makes trains go. And the last point I wanted to make is we're very much a supporter of the green initiatives. Very important. I mentioned I was at the factory yesterday that we're building. I was really surprised to learn that factory, when it's operational later this year, is going to be net carbon zero. We're going to have solar panels on the top providing all the power. The wash stations are going to reprocess all the water. We're going to have zero carbon footprint. That is really cool. Okay. Let's get to the subject at hand. World-class bullet train systems. Got to start with the Shinkansen, right? The very first system, 1964, Tokyo to Osaka, 300 miles, cut travel time almost in half. It was a big hit, running about 140 miles an hour, I believe, at the time. Very big hit, very popular, instant success, over 100 million riders in the first couple of years. Well, that inspired Japanese National Rail to build more. And they continued to build out the line. The initial train control was a very basic ATC track circuit-based system. Over the years, they continued to evolve it. 1987, Japanese National Rail was dissolved, and the operating companies took over the building of the line. So today, 11 lines, almost 2,000 miles, operating at speeds usually around 200 miles an hour, but they certainly can go faster. And it's an amazing success story. Today, it's still a track circuit-based system. They call it digital ATC, kind of different flavors on different segments, but very similar. Very exciting, very exciting. We provide rolling stock assembly. We do train management systems. We do signaling. We contribute to the delivery of the system. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out Texas High-Speed Rail is considering the Shinkansen solution. And we think that's very exciting. So moving on. Europe. Europe is where it's at. Europe reminds me a lot of the United States in some ways, in that they have a massive rail network. Now, the challenge with Europe was that they all grew up separately. In fact, a little bit of trivia, the first high-speed line, Italy, 1977, I believe, going from Rome to Florence. That was the first segment of it. But while we were building our lines, of course, the French were building their lines, TVG, Germany was building their lines, and so forth. So you had a complex network of high-speed lines, regular lines, and to get like a trans-Europe trip to go from Italy to London could require 6 different cab sets on board, 6 different sets of rules to follow. It's crazy. Doesn't make any sense. So, 2005, the EU stepped in, said, we're going to fix this problem. And with that, they came up with the European Rail Traffic Management System. Reading the words, it's a comprehensive system that standardizes and harmonizes train control. So now, instead of different systems, you have one system to travel across Europe. Very efficient, you can imagine, reduce costs. Also increase speed, though. It has interoperability, so it allows different players to play. And at the core of the system is a kind of basic system. It's well, maybe complicated basic, but it's a cab signaling system with the onboard. The key to it is a global radio network for data and voice traveling, and then the rules and procedures that define the systems that allow OEMs like Hitachi and others to build systems in compliance with these standards. I think ERTMS is a great foundation for us to look at here. As we're building our systems, as Scott said, it's not about new technology. It exists. How am I doing? Okay. All righty then. Very complicated picture here, but I wanted to give you some sense of what is this thing called ERTMS. There's a lot of words there, but this is a ERTMS, European Train Control System, Level 2 architecture. In a lot of ways, it has similar elements of any train control architecture. You have the offices up there, the control center, the rail management center with its backup. Along the alignment, you have interlocking controllers. You have radio block centers that manage the train movements within a radio block. They, of course, connect to the wayside. The point machines, the level crossings, if you got them, and so forth. And then, of course, they give the train movement information to the trains. So it's basically a complex network of hardware and software. And the controllers, like the interlocking controllers, need to be SIL4, redundant, you have high reliability. People only notice these systems when they don't work. So if your trains are on time, you probably don't even know this is going on. So European train control systems, which is at the heart of ERTMS, is really becoming a standard around the world. What started in Europe is now expanded. Certainly to North Africa, we talked about some of the high-speed lines there, certainly into China, India, and some of our latest projects are also in Australia. So, and a European train control system is not just for high-speed trains. It also deals with regular speed trains, and it allows that interoperability. It allows trains to go on the track and, with a lot more efficiency. Okay, so now a little case study. Transformation of travel in Italy. Again, Andre stole my thunder here a little bit, but that's okay. I think it's a really exciting story. I mentioned to you that it started here. It started, high-speed rail started in 1977 here. Well, since then, they really adopted the ERTMS and ETCS standards. They have over 700 miles of the ERTMS network. In some cases, it was brownfield that they upgraded, like the Rome line, which obviously now goes more like 200 miles an hour. But there's also the greenfield. Again, you can see they're still continuing to build the network out. What we found is it's like having it's transforming how they travel in Italy. It is amazing. I mean, the study we were part of showed increase of travel in 10 years of over 500%. More recent data, they're up to 65 million now with the other supplier they brought in. You were talking about that earlier. It's real. It's unbelievable. And I will point out that looks a little bit like California, by the way. and it's an incremental build. I mean, that's what, you look at the Shinkansen, incremental build. You look at here, incremental build. You look at standards, they both have standards. All these things are things that we can bring to the US. They're here, they exist. We just need to adopt them. And I think, the benefits, certainly, greenhouse gases reduced, absolutely. But I thought Armin said it best, the comfort, the flexibility, the reduced journey times, the service is the way to go for these short journeys. So, I mean, I'm really, as you can tell, I'm really excited about bringing high-speed rail to America, and really excited to be a part of it. So with that, I gotta show this slide. I love this slide. You know, we look at these networks and look at the beautiful station. Isn't that a beautiful station? I just thought that was unbelievable. And the train, well, that's our HR 1000. Beautiful train, much like their beautiful trains. And they go across the network, they go on time. You never hear about them wrecking, they're safe. You know, they're very, very solid. But what people don't forget about is this stuff on the right-hand side. It's the systems. It's the systems that make them go, right? Without the systems, they could go or they could crash. So we love to keep our trains in one piece. So that's a high-speed rail network. How'd I do, Andre? All right, in closing, a couple things to know about world-class bullet train systems and Hitachi Rail. You can see we've been a part of high-speed rail from the very beginning, both in Japan and in Europe. We've, as I mentioned, delivered high-speed rail solutions, both vehicles and trains and systems here in the US, you know, for over 140 years. Well, not the vehicle part, but the train, the systems part. Anyway, ETS, we deliver ETS level 1 and 2 solutions for very high-speed trains and other trains. And we provide other train management solutions. And as I mentioned, we're committed to the green solutions and green energy, everything from our factories to our trains themselves that use recyclable materials to everything that we do. And we see the trains in themselves as a green solution, right? We already talked about that. So with that, what can I say? We're proud to be a part of the high-speed rail network. We're really looking forward to coming to the USA, and we're looking forward to being a part of it. My name is Alan Immel. We are Hitachi. Thank you for your time.